What's up, guys? My name's Mike, the All Things Fish. Thanks for stopping by. You guys are gonna get a chance to see something you don't normally get to see. That's me working on the tanks. So I'm gonna get to work. I'll keep an eye on the stream. You guys let me know what's going on. If you're interested in joining the stream, as always, the link is posted. But I'm gonna get to work. You guys pay attention as you see fit, and I'm gonna grab a Python. And we're going to start doing water changes over here. So, as you can see, it's a little bit messy. What's up, Shanna? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I know this is weird. I don't normally stream during the daytime, but I snuck out of work early because obviously I have some things to work on. So we're going to mess with the tanks. If you want to chat and chit-chat a little bit, you're more than welcome to. The link's in the chat, Shannon. Feel free to pop on up or sit and lurk. I'll kind of, talk about things as we go, but I got a lot to do, so we'll see how things go. Good day, Adele. Hello, hello. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it very much. I know I haven't been on a lot lately, and this is super weird to see me in a stream during the daytime, but hopefully we can make this happen a little bit more often. So you're going to see me in and out of the fish room, and we'll show some tanks as they get cleaned up, maybe, if you guys are lucky, or unlucky, depending on how you look at things. So, scrubbing floors. Well, I'll be scrubbing tanks. So we'll give you a look at kind of how things are set up a little bit here in a second. Let me run this Python to the drain quick. And we'll get things going. How you guys been? With girls, I guess. Just the ladies are taking over the Friday stream, apparently. I know I haven't seen Adele in one of my streams in quite some time. And it's always a pleasure to have Shanna around, of course. So, ba-da-ba. If you guys happen to be watching, I'm going to move this camera. Close your eyes if you don't want to get sick of me moving things around. But as you can see, oops, I got to pick the other camera. Hold on just a second. 3:30 a.m. What are you doing working at 3:30 a.m.? That's nonsense. Let's see how this goes. We'll see. I don't use this camera often, so we'll see how it works out. Ooh, so the color balances off some. But this is a rack of acrylic tanks. Shoop. All the way down to the bottom. What's up, X Genetics? Thanks for stopping by. Now, as you can see, each of these tanks has a drain valve, a drain, and then they're all pumped together over here. And there's a barb fitting down there that I simply hook the Python up to, like so. Boom. It just slips on there. And then all I have to do to start draining these, obviously, these top two tanks are empty, but there are some Silverado endlers in here, some LT gray endlers in this tank, and to start draining, all we do is, boom, water's moving. Pretty easy. Lurk mode on. Benoxky, what's up, man? I didn't see you sneak in here, Benoxky. No, normally I stream hella late at night, so I appreciate you guys joining me for late night streams, as well as stuff during the day. I'm going to switch this back over to the big camera. And then when we want to take a closer look, once things clean up some, we'll switch over there. So right now, like I said, this tank's draining, valve is open, water runs across, runs down the vertical pipe, and then there's a floor drain out in the basement area. Fortunately, these tanks, I did remember to set these on timers. Right now they are analog timers, old school, I know. I'll catch up with the times eventually. So while these things are draining, I'm gonna grab a cup, and there's a little bit of hair algae. It's not too bad. A little bit of duckweed. So we'll go ahead and work to pull some of that out of here. Best way to help stay on top of an algae problem is, well, obviously to avoid it in the first place. But don't be afraid to get your hands wet. Get in there, do some manual removal. Goes a long way. Obviously, a smaller amount of algae is going to reproduce much slower than a larger amount of algae. But algae in these tanks, these are little breeder tanks, so algae isn't the end of the world. Provides a little sustenance for the critters that are in here. Like I said, this tank is Silverado Endlers. And as far as plants go in here, obviously it's bare bottom. So not many plants. I've got some Java fern plantlets just kind of floating around in here. And then some guppy grass, both to offer fries, some places to hide, and just to suck up any nutrients. Give this a stir. There's some, obviously, some sediment in the bottom, a little bit of debris, or detritus, if you will. I'm short, so I'm on tiptoes. And there's some duckweed in here, but this tank isn't so bad. Specimen container. Boom. Da-da-da. What's up, Glitch? Hope you're doing well. Hope you guys are having a great day. Said I got some free time on Friday, so we're going to work on cleaning some tanks up. Now, obviously, if I wanted to, if there was a lot of sediment in the bottom of these, since these are basically just drains, they're screened drains, I can stir it up a little bit and kick some of that up, get it moving, kind of suspend it up in the water column. But if it was really bad, I'd go ahead and just use the Python itself to suck it right up off the bottom of the tank. Now these are roughly 16-gallon little acrylic tanks. Coffee, so good. I'm not a coffee guy, which is weird because most pilots are super into coffee. I just don't personally fit the bill, I guess, which is okay. That means there's more coffee for everybody else. Now this tank is drained down to about a few inches of water. Close the valve. Boom. On to the next one. Now, theoretically, if these pipes were bigger, I could drain all these tanks at once, but it's not. And so if I open multiple valves, it would lead to just whenever there was a difference in pressure. So like right now, if I open these two, some of this water may move over into the other tank. And that just gives an opportunity for contamination between tanks. So I do my best to avoid that. Obviously, I'm not super great at it, but I quarantine my fish before allowing any nets to cross from one tank to the next or equipment. So I'm honestly not super worried about it. While that may not be the best practice or the best advice, so if you know your fish and you have healthy fish, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about. So again, this is a pretty similar setup. Like I said, this is LT gray endlers. So they're, whereas the Silverado endlers, the male display kind of the silver blue color, the LT gray are a little bit more like maybe a black bar. Not quite the same, but they get some black and orange coloration on them. Like I said, there's some narrow-leaf Java fern plantlets in here. I just pop them off other stuff in different tanks and throw them in here to soak up some nutrients. There's not a lot of light on these tanks. It's cheaper Amazon LED strips, the linkable type. I think the brand is Brina, B-R-R-I-N-A. They just don't consume a lot of power, and I don't need a lot of light. I basically, just need enough light in these tanks to be able to see, to enjoy the fish and work around a little bit. So I'm not trying to specifically grow plants in these tanks. They grow because I have extra plants, and that's okay. But obviously, it's not a planted aquarium. These are bare bottom, specifically for breeding endlers. So obviously endlers don't particularly care much if there's sand or rock or whatever in the bottom. So keeping a bare bottom just makes them a little bit easier to work in. Again, stir up some of the debris and detritus on the bottom, so it's a kind of suspense in the water column, and then runs out the drains. The screens on the drains are fairly small, so I'm not real worried about losing fry. I'm sure it happens occasionally. But not very, excuse me, not very often. Yes, I do have fish, not very many, but there are fish indeed. Believe it or not, I have more than 125 upstairs. These tanks just aren't really generally much worth a showing, but I have time, so I'm down in the basement, and I will probably crack a beverage soon. You know, you gotta work up a little sweat, right? A little sweat going. This tank's down to, I don't know, that's a 60-gallon tank, probably about 5 gallons. We'll call that one good. Move down here to this tank. This tank has a trio of super red bristlenoses, standard bins. So away the water goes. This is the fish room. Don't confuse the fish room with the basement, Matt. The basement itself is an entirely different animal. The fish room is the fish room, and the basement is everything else that generally turns into more or less a catch-all, kind of like my garage. So you guys don't get to see it very often, if ever, and you probably don't get to see the garage very often, if ever. And that's not a bad thing for you guys because there's not much to see. It's just not. Bunny Viper's here. Hey, Bunny Viper. I didn't see you sneak in. Fish room is also the basement. Since I heat just this room, it's not a full room. There's kind of some fake walls in here from the previous owners that I eventually plan on replacing and actually making real walls. But that's one of those things where it's, you know, down the road if I have the time and money, which generally speaking with my projects, I either have time or money, never both at the same time. So sometimes things just don't get done. So one of these days, if I have both the time and the money to actually finish this room and make it an official room, I will. Until then, I have painter's plastic sealing off the top parts of it to keep the heat in and the moisture in, so that the rest of the house doesn't turn into a humid little sauna. Because that is a little less than ideal. Again, just like the other tanks. So this is bristlenose Picosmus in here. I do have sand in the bottom of it, and I have some caves in it, but it's not planted. There's a mess of plants in here just to, again, provide some sort of vegetation and some nutrient uptake. Because like I said, well, as you guys know, I'm gone a lot, which by adding plants to the aquarium makes them a little bit more forgiving. Now this tank is definitely messier than the two guppy tanks. Generally gets fed a little bit more. But again, it's not high dollar plants. So if there's a bunch of algae tied up and then some of this guppy grass or the Java fern, the whole chunk just gets tossed. Not awful though, at least not this time. Depends on how long ago I'm gone. So this is the first maintenance down here in the fish room since I got back from a month and a half in Oklahoma. So this tank itself is, you know, a little messier than I'd like it to be right now. But I'll do some water changes today and pick out some junk, and I'll probably hit it again next week And then she should be back on track. Some driftwood in here. Just for the flickers to munch on a little bit. Add some cannons to the water. And then you may notice, I don't know, you probably won't see it in the videos, but there's actually, I keep Indian almond leaves in all my tanks, as well as, depending on the season, it's fall. It's a great time to go out and collect. So I did escape Oklahoma bunny viper, and I am super excited about that. No, but as I was saying, other than the Indian almond leaves, you know, oak leaves are great. Alder cones are fallen if you have some alder trees, or if you're friends with anybody at the nursery, you can get your hands on some alder cones. A lot of the times they'll have alder trees there. We'll fix the cones. Tank. Those botanicals. Some of them add more tint to the water than others, but a lot of the times they're just tannins and other things like fulvic acid, which not only act as antifungal, they'll promote growth as well. So if you've ever watched Dan's streams or video on fulvic acid, a lot of people will add straight fulvic acid to the tanks. I personally don't because it's expensive, but to each their own. They can see based on the plumbing I have here, obviously it would be easy to set up automatic water changes, at least on this rack. But I feel like by not automating things, you force yourself to stay in the tanks a little bit, and you pay a little bit more attention and see things that maybe you wouldn't if you were running an automated system. Now, if it's literally just, you know, if you're just breeding guppies and you have a whole rack of, you know, 20, 30 guppy tanks, auto water changes would make sense because really there's just not a lot to see, but you can pick up on subtle things just to when certain things spawn, etc. If you look at this tank, obviously I'm gonna grab the computer, I might switch one. Looking a little green because there's a lot of duckweed in there. So while it would be a good candidate for duckweed versus fire, since it's acrylic, we'll try to keep some heat away from it. Some leads and bigger power boards to get everything into. So since this tank, this room, like I said, so you guys have seen it, so you haven't. So, oops, sorry guys. A variety of tanks in here. So I only have 2 outlets in this room. One outlet runs the air pump and the heater in the room. The other outlet really just runs the lights, and that's all there is. I don't heat anything in this tank, so or in this room. Sorry, I don't have any heaters in here. They're just not required. I heat the room. If I want fish a little bit cooler, it's a few degrees cooler in the lower tanks. If I want them warmer, a few degrees warmer up in the higher tanks. Generally speaking, the lower tanks are 72 to 74. Higher tanks are 76, 78. So don't really have any problems on that front. At least nothing to be super worried about with regards to temperature. Now, this tank has a couple trios of half black, white tuxedos that I've separated from the rest of the colony for some desirable traits, a little selective breeding. It's kind of the best 2 trios in the tank, and there are not currently any fry in here, so I don't feel bad just netting this crap off the top of the tank because I'm not worried about losing any fry. Obviously, if I knew there were fry in the tank, I probably wouldn't go this direction with it. I'd use another method, but this should work out just fine. Get some of this junk off the top. So I'm not super concerned with it. It provides cover for the fish, sucks up nutrients, keeps the water, cleaner just by removing some of the nitrates and phosphates. But definitely on the list of the multiple things that I would potentially consider the bane of my existence. So other than the duckweed, there's some guppy grass in here, and that's it. And of course, everything, all but the 75s in this room are run off sponge filters using a single linear piston pump. So that's how I can cut down on my outlets. Using the low output LEDs are how I cut down additionally on power consumption. So the room doesn't really cost a whole lot. And then water in Iowa is actually, I don't know, my water bill's obviously higher than most, just because I do weekly 50% more water changes on all these tanks. So it adds up eventually, but not awful. So yeah, if I was running bigger tanks, I'd probably need to add, higher power lighting. Individual heaters might be an option. Definitely bigger filtration type setup, whether that's canisters or sumps or hang-on-backs. But everything in here is a fairly small tank, so operating costs are fairly low. 22 tanks down to 7. About to be 6. Found that much work. No longer spending the time to truly appreciate my fish. Yeah, that happens a lot. So I've been anywhere from 1 tank up to 30 plus tanks, and I know I'm somewhere in the middle. So you got to find a happy medium, or find a way to manage the tanks so that it doesn't become too much work, because you want it to be fun. You don't want it to feel like a job. If it starts to feel like work and it feels like a job, then you're not going to want to do it. I'm just reading chat, guys. Sorry. How many tanks do you say you have now? Let me see. So, Bunny Viper, do you want to know how many tanks I own or how many tanks actually have water in them? Because not all of them have water. Obviously, it's a slow progress. I set a couple tanks up and I wait. I'm like, okay, am I happy with this or is this too much work? Set up a couple more tanks and I wait. Am I happy with it? Is it too much work? Kind of one of those things. So, but tanks with water. What's up, Jenna? Thanks for stopping by. See you, Adele. Have a good one. Tanks with water in this room. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 tanks with water and 125 upstairs. But a lot of these tanks in here aren't filled because, like I said, take a couple steps, see how it goes, move backwards if you need to. And it's like I've got a variety of tank sizes from 2.5 all the way up to 125. Actually, there's a whole 180 right behind the computer. So it just depends. Sometimes I'll decide to go after a project where I need more smaller tanks, so the number goes up. Sometimes I decide that, hey, that's too much work or that's not what I want to do right now, so I'll switch to larger tanks. So it goes both ways. And I think Shanna, let me scroll up a second. Shanna asked, how many sponge filters do you need to make it worthwhile to get a big centralized air pump? I don't know. That's I don't know, matter of opinion, I guess. Obviously, I have almost 30 tanks running in here, so it makes quite a bit of sense to go to a single air pump. I would say, I don't know, anything over 6. Like if you have 6 pump outputs in one spot, it kind of makes sense to go to a single pump. Now that doesn't have to be a big linear piston pump like I have. So I have a Gemco LPH 145 that I can show you guys if you haven't seen the video. Let me switch the camera. Get my ugly mug for a minute. So, woo! I said tanks. Said these are 20s, 15s, and 75s, 40s. But if you look up there, that's the LPH 45, and you can see the PVC that goes all the way around the room and has a bunch of drops. Even over here, there's that 180 I told you guys about. So that LPH 45 runs all these tanks. I'd like to go to an LPH 60 just because it's nice to always have extra. And then I'll use the 45 as a backup plan. So vibes, let's shake it, man. Hope you're having a good one. So does that answer your question, Shanna? I would say if you have more than, like I said, 6 airdrops within, a fairly centralized location, then one pump makes sense. And there are some decent linear, or not linear piston pumps, decent diaphragm pumps that'll handle that. Again, Alita, Gemco are kind of my go-to on pumps. They're quiet, they last forever. They have good product support. And then I would say, 6 to 10 you can probably get if they're smaller and you're not pumping down deep in the water. You can probably get away fine with a diaphragm pump. Anything more than that, you probably want to go to a linear piston. And they make some smaller linear pistons that'll work for smaller setups. And when you're running multiple diaphragm pumps or multiple smaller pumps, you're going to use up some more electricity, and they're going to give off more heat. Obviously, they need more outlets. But if you switch to a single pump, like a single large linear, or like a single linear piston or a larger diaphragm pump, one outlet, generally it's going to be a little bit more efficient, and there's fewer points for failure, right? So on one hand, if my one pump goes out, then I could potentially, lose airflow to 25 tanks, but I do have a backup. So something to think about. Always have a backup plan, whether that's, for heat, electricity, airflow. A backup plan is never going to hurt you. So fortunately, a lot of the time you can find good used equipment pretty easy. If you look around, like Craigslist is still a thing. Different clubs are still a good option, or Facebook, marketplace, or whatever they call it now, can definitely be, a useful option too. So keep your eyes open. You may not be shopping for something in particular at any given time, but timing can be kind of tricky, right? Because you may find a good deal, but it may be terrible timing when you just don't have the money, or you may find a good deal where it's just, I don't need that right now, but maybe you have the extra money. So it makes sense, and you run with it. So I'm going to keep draining those tanks over here, and we're going to switch over here. And screw up John McKenzie. What's up, bud? Thanks for stopping by. I do have tanks, believe it or not, and you guys are getting to see them a little bit today. So again, these acrylics are draining, still a little bit left going there. I'm going to start scrubbing this top tank. This top tank has it was the group of Chilather and Al and I. They were upstairs at 125. Now they're back in the 40 so that I can generate some more fry, start growing those out. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I can post, if you guys want to chat, I'll post the link. I didn't pin it. I don't have YouTube open right now. But I'll post the link to chat, and you guys can chat. And that way, I don't have to read the messages. Not that I don't want to, I do. But it definitely slows down progress a little bit here. You're trying to bounce between a bunch of different tanks and get things cleaned up. I'll turn this ladder around a little bit so you guys don't have to look at my posterior, as wonderful as some people, my wife, may think it is. I'll face this way, and this tank's got a little bit of algae on the glass. It's not bad. I'm gonna give it a quick scrub. I'll probably leave the sides just because algae isn't always bad. It does provide a food source for either your fish or micro critters that your fish then feed on. So we'll give it a quick scrub. And this is a 40 breeder that I use straight reverse osmosis water in. So keep the TDS fairly low for the rainbows. And then it has sand substrate, which probably isn't necessary, but it was in the tank, so why not? Sand is cheap. I use a yarn floating breeding mop in this, or spawning mop, whatever you'd like to call it, and 2 ATI hydro sponge filters. Again, run off that big LPH 45 linear piston pump. I'm just gonna scrub away. Again, the algae doesn't really bother me, but it's hard to enjoy your fish completely when the front glass is dirty, and it's even harder to get decent pictures or videos to show off to your friends. So give that a quick scrub. This over here. Do that shabam, like that. And then once these other tanks are done draining, we'll start draining that stack there. Micro critters, Matt's here. Micro and Matt go hand in hand, right? So yes, they are here, and Matt's fun to pick on, so I'll pick on him all day long. He wasn't here a minute ago, giving me a hard time, so I'm sure he'll be back shortly. This tank over here that I'm working at now, so working, just happen to stick my hand in it to start pulling algae out, is a 15-gallon. It's a little bit bigger than a 10, but the same height. So it's I don't know. I really enjoy them for breeding. It's just got a little bit of air algae going on right now, which is, like I said, I don't care. This tank has some black Moscow guppies in it, so I'll save what guppy grass I can, and then it'll be more or less. Is it at here? No, not yet. All right, snail genocide. We're probably going to murder a bunch of snails pulling this hair algae out. So Annette, if you're listening in the replay, I'm sorry, but they're not cool snails. They're just pests, pond snails, bladder snails. I don't know. So they'll probably kick the bucket, but I don't feel bad. Not even a little bit. Yeah, this is, like I said, some black Moscow guppies I got from a breeder friend that I know over in Iowa. Just had them for several years. So, pretty quality line. There's a few trios in here, plus some fry. And they seem to leave for fry alone for the most part, which is good. I've heard all kinds of rumors and hypotheticals about certain strains of guppies that do eat their fry, certain strains of guppies that don't eat their fry. I think I've heard somebody speculated that albino guppies are more prone to eating fry. I don't know. I don't know if there's any truth to it. But I don't know. I've seen there's definitely, some strains that produce slower. I don't know if it's because they eat their fry or not. All the pest snails and duckweed to Annette. Don't tempt me. She will quickly get more than she would ever want. And I don't know if she would appreciate that. So it's not that I dislike the snails. I just am very neutral about their existence in my tank. And since they aren't highly desirable or cool looking or anything, if we commit genocide in the tank, then we commit snail genocide in the tank. I'm sure YouTube's probably gonna get upset with me and not share or promote my video because I said that, but that's okay. That's all right. These next 3 tanks that I'm scrubbing here, again, it's 2 15s and a 10, and these are 2 breeding pairs of Cryptoheros Nanoludius, or Amatiliana Nanoludius, to be more accurate, I guess, if Alishan is listening. And then a grow out. The 10's just a grow out for some of their fry. So just a lightly sanded bottom. TDS is roughly 140 to 200 ish. So they get primarily RO water, and then just some ceramic caves or pots for them to spawn in. And if you feed them and keep their water decent looking, they will spawn for you, because that's what crypts do, or convicts do. Sorry. And yes, they are a Cryptoheros or an Amatiliana, doesn't matter. They're both convicts. Nano Aquarium guy, what's shaking, bud? And we're doing a little tank maintenance. People don't believe that I have fish tanks sometimes, which is more than understandable. But I do. I do. Sometimes I work on them, not often on camera. There's just, I don't know, there's not a lot to see. Compost, snails, and duckweed. There you go. That's an option too. There's always options to get rid of crap like that. I need, what am I looking for? This will be the trick. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, maybe not. I forgot these don't have. I might have to get an extension cord quick. I need to adjust some of my lights in here yet. Look at this. Uh-oh. Is that not working? Do that. Ho-ho! Let there be light. And there was light. Boom. Now we got some light down there. But I want light over there. That's all right, though. That's okay. That's all right. I'll survive. We'll make it. We'll get through it together. No, there's. I just need to make some longer link cables for these LEDs over here. One of these days, I just keep forgetting to get to it because that's not a cool project, and cool projects aren't as fun. So we are these 40 breeders. This is a stack of 340 breeders over here by this ladder. They are not plumbed for a drain or anything. So we'll get the old faithful Python, and I'm going to step over to the drain to start a siphon quick. Now, I obviously could have drained these or drilled these tanks to set up drains on them, but then I have to worry about either being able to access the plumbing on the back or having the plumbing come out the front, which the plumbing come up, excuse me, plumbing comes out the front of those 16s because I stole them, so I'll deal with it. But it obviously makes things a little bit harder to see working. Again, these are all breeder tanks, so I'm not super worried about it. So just going with the old trusty Python on most of the tanks works just fine. And usually, depending on how much maintenance, if I'm just doing a water change, if I'm not trying to do a back or anything, I can get my water changes done in about an hour on this fish room. A little bit longer. The old fish room that if you guys saw the build video for was quite small. Or it wasn't. It was small at the point that it was compact. But it is smaller tanks. So I was able to get I was able to do 25 water changes easy in an hour. This one, if I have to do some scrubbing or picking algae, it does take me a little bit longer. Now this tank up here is by a very small window. So sometimes it can, just attract a little bit more algae just because it gets some natural lighting from the window, but it's not terrible. Again, these are shot after an Alani Wapoga, which I talked about with Kelly in another stream. Some of my favorite angelfish are, rainbow fish. Trying to talk while I'm working. Obviously, you can see it's not going super well. Definitely, probably one of my favorite rainbow fish right now. It changes day to day. Easy to keep, easy to spawn. Add water, add food. They do like a little bit softer water. So again, TDS 1 to 200 is where I keep these guys. They survive just fine with a little bit harder water. They may or may not spawn. I don't know. I've never tried to spawn them in a little bit harder water. And then as far as diet goes, or what I feed, these guys get a mix of Ken's flakes, so like a blackworm flake or a multi-worm flake. They do get frozen bloodworms, live baby brine shrimp, live vinegar eels, micro eels, or micro worms, sorry. Blackworms if I've got them. And then white worms, which I was gone for a month and a half, so I got to start a couple cultures over. But it's cheap and they're free. I say free. They are very cheap to keep running. You can run food cultures extremely cheap, produce a ton of food, and run into generally not a lot of problems. Loves glitter. Does duckweed count as glitter? I feel like it's not far off. What's up, June? Thanks for stopping by, lady. Appreciate you. Nano fish are definitely hard to catch, and they're even harder to catch in a planted tank, which planted tanks are beautiful. I love them to death. You guys know this. But if you are going to have to catch fish out of a planted tank, you might as well just, well, tear the whole damn thing down, because you're going to tear most of the plants out anyway and end up rescaping. At least that's what happened with my 25. I was trying to get the rainbows, the Alani Wapoga, out of the 25 or the 125, and move the Cryptoheros and Analudius out so I could just focus on breeding them outside of the 125, and that resulted in a complete rescape, which is fine. I like to rescape, once a year or so anyway. So the tank was probably due, but it was just, I don't know, unplanned, spur of the moment decision to move fish, and started trying to catch fish, realized I had to just pull the plants out. One thing led to another. And before you know it, I had a multi-hour-long rescape going on. But the tank needed it. It's much better now than it did before. So, so the 40 here, the Alani is draining right now. I'm working in a 20 high with some blue Moscow guppies right now. So it's a 20 high, bare bottom, strictly a breeder for guppies, and it has a Hamburg mat filter in the back. If you're not familiar with the Hamburg mat filter, it's more or less just one big piece of foam that'll go from one side of the tank to the next, and uses like a jet lifter uptake type tube to draw water through the foam, sponge, whatever. Usually it's like a Swiss tropical sporette type stuff, and then sort of pull it through it, and then the jet lifter moves the water up and pumps it across the top of the tank, creating a very subtle water flow through the tank, and obviously filtering that water. I would say primarily that's biological filtration, because due to the low amount of water flow through the media itself, it's not really providing a whole lot of flow in the tank, so you're not going to get a lot of mechanical filtration. But since it's just guppies, it's bare bottom, and just got some guppy grass floating around in there. There's not a ton of mechanical to be accomplished anyway, particularly that I can't just accomplish real quick with weekly water changes. So easy enough to work in. So one on the right is the Blue Moscow. So one on the left is full reds, so full red guppies that are descendants of a Stan Schubel line. So pretty awesome fish. Finally, so self. Beautiful fins. If you saw my video about the trip to Omaha to visit a friend that was a fish breeder, we saw those fish kind of get introduced in there. Oh, that's a new home up top. That's where they do their thing. Mountain Greenery, howdy. Thanks for stopping in. Mugs. I'm not a coffee guy, so I'm not a big mug guy. Beer mugs are something different though. Big ladder when I started out to the 180. Yeah. So this is a 6-footer, and it works well in this room. This room's, I don't know, my highest tank is close to 7 feet. That 40 breeder up there is the top of it's right about, I don't know, 6'8", 6'10". So a 6-foot ladder lets me get up there just fine and make things happen. But we've been working hard. We're working up a little sweat. And what happens when you work hard and you get a lot of work done and you work up a sweat? You deserve a nice cold beverage. And today's flavor of the day is brought to you by Infusion Brewing Company, based out of Omaha, Nebraska, and it goes by the name of Fruity Loops Vanilla Bean Blonde. It's a very light blonde ale with subtle fruity hints and an awesome, with this crazy melted vanilla ice cream finish at the end. Delicious. So bottoms up. Cheers to you guys. Happy Friday. TGIF. Drink it in. Goes down smooth. All right, so the 40 up top, I would say we probably have 25 gallons out of it. So we're going to let it run down a little bit more. And while that's draining, we're going to work through some other tanks. This tank right here is a 40 breeder with standard and albino bristlenoses. Tank on the bottom is my half black white tuxedo guppy colony along with some cherry shrimp. So we get the black, June 3G. What's up, buddy? Mixing. So we're just gonna work on scrubbing the glass and picking algae out of other tanks while the big ones drain. The big ones take a little bit longer. If I wasn't trying to stream and clean tanks at the same time, I would start filling these over here because I do have a hose to fill those and drain those. But sometimes I get distracted, and next thing you know it, there's splashing water all over the place, which happens often. Fortunately, I do have the floor is a mess. I epoxied the floor, and I don't know, I like it pretty well. I took some pictures and videos to make a video. I never got around to it. So one of these days, I have the footage. I just need to do something with it. But alas. Apparently, I have a baby shower to go to this weekend. So I'm trying to get tank maintenance done today. And so shouldn't take long. Obviously, it's taking about twice as long as usual just because I've been gone for a while. That's okay. I'm in good company. I've got the 15, 20 of you guys to keep me busy while I plug away. You're more than welcome to come help, Matt. I'll even give you a beer if you do. I've got a cooler that is stocked with summer beers, and we're going into winter, so we got to drink them up. We got to get into winter beer mode. I don't want to put your snob. There's definitely a difference in summer beers, which are generally light, fruity, often, and good to go on a cool day. And you get into winter beers. We're in, Oktoberfest. It's kind of the breaking point. You get the, your shandies, your light ales, and whatnot in the summer, moving into the fall. Oktoberfest hits, bam, cold weather season. That's when we get into our stouts. I'm a big stout guy. Stouts, ambers, some of your darker stuff. But that's my scene. What are you guys doing this weekend? All 16 of you watching. What's going on this weekend? Oh, shit. Shanna, I'm sorry.
Hey, shit. It is all good, my man.
You said, oh, okay, you just sent me that a minute ago. I was worried that you had been sitting there for like half an hour, like just ignoring the living hell out of you.
I don't have that attention span. I would have been like, meh, I'll come back later.
You could have, I don't know, just yelled at. Well, that's the thing. There's like no good way to get somebody's attention short of like if you have their phone number or something, message them on a separate
smoke signals.
There you go. We get enough of smoke from your guys' forest fires every year. You guys don't need to send any more over here.
Dude, that's just me waiting backstage.
Oh, so this whole summer you were waiting backstage, huh?
Yeah, you've just been ignoring me this whole time.
my sincerest apologies. What you got going on today, Shanna?
I am finally moving into my permanent bedroom because I moved in with roommates like almost a year ago, but I was staying in the guest room, and the room I was going to be in was a storage room. But then it was like trying to get people to get their stuff, and like it just drug on. And finally, it's like happened. I got the room emptied out last night because we got somewhere to put everything. I just scrubbed all the floors and walls and drug my dresser in single-handedly like a maniac.
Wow, look at you go. You deserve a drink then.
I know. I'm hitting the old Sprites. Sprite-a-rooskies.
Sprite-a-rooskies?
Mm-hmm.
I won't judge you.
Also, it's only 11:17.
Well, can't drink all day if you don't start early, right?
Ain't that
I'm kidding. I'm not an alcoholic. Despite what some people may think, although the more fish events I go to, the more I question it because they seem to go hand in hand, especially like swap meets, like late night setup. Usually turns into a lot of the partaking of beverages.
Yes. Well, and I don't drink at all, so I'm like the built-in designated driver, which I appreciate because most of the time drunk people want Taco Bell, and I'm always down for Taco Bell, and they'll buy
Nobody's
it
gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, you want to stop at Taco Bell? Cool, we can do that. You gotta buy me dinner though, and they're like, you betcha, and then they don't die. It's perfect.
Right? That's a win-win. So, unfortunately, I have not been to a swap meet since probably the spring.
Oh gosh.
And there aren't any. There's not that many conventions out here. There used to be the Greater Iowa Reef Society used to have an event called Fall Fest.
Ooh.
But that was more of a saltwater thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but for everybody
else,
else,
saltwater too, though, don't you?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. I've got a box of salt and a box of sand in the mail last week. So
that's very exciting.
About to happen again, and my wife's like, "Are you ever going to open that box of salt and do anything with it?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I want to make a video out of it," and then I get distracted, and so I'll either open it and set it up and not make a video because she was sick of seeing it sitting around the house, or I'll actually do something productive. Not sure which one yet. Up in the air on it, really.
Well, all of those sound like valid options to me.
Yeah. Some of them are more productive than others. I mean, it's not that I don't want to set the tank up, because I do. thought it would be an enjoyable video series to do. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's all kinds of like freshwater, like, oh, how to set up a tank, like, and they walk you through step by step, and there's not a lot of saltwater stuff like that.
There's a lot less saltwater stuff, I think. Or maybe I just don't know where to find it, but I don't see as much of it as I do with freshwater.
So I want to do it for the sake of, trying to help the hobby a little bit, because saltwater is like, I don't know, saltwater is scary the first time I got into it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
I was
just
afraid of it.
easier in saltwater to mess up like a whole extra zero's worth of stuff. Because I started with saltwater, and like not everything. You can do it on the cheap, but mostly it's a lot more expensive. And then when you mess up, it's like, half a paycheck. And
it's definitely a lot more
tank. Like I had a carpet an enemy suck up into a power head. Yeah, everything in that tank was done for when I got home from work.
Yeah, everybody just about lost a guppy in the duckweed. Okay, there's one. Oh, there's another one down there too. Sorry, little guy. Come back. Baby, come back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been turned into a karaoke Friday afternoon. I'm gonna need a few more drinks before we do karaoke.
Yeah, I was just gonna say everybody else is gonna need a few more drinks before I do karaoke.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't get him. Come on, little buddy. Stay with me. Trying. Got him. They'll make it. They'll be all right. It's a victory. Now, I'm not sure how many other guppies are potentially in the duckweed that I'm throwing away, but as fast as they reproduce, I won't miss them. It's probably bad. I don't know. It's a bad mindset to have. Like, it's probably a cull anyway.
I work really hard not to throw guppies away, but like I'm also not gonna.
I do work hard, but I'm not gonna like totally bend over backwards and make this take hours to get rid of duckweed to save like 2 guppy fry.
Nope. Mostly I'm just trying to get the duckweed out of there because I found some strange, powerful motivation and I'm desperately trying to use it before it passes. I'm like, oh my God, I want to deal with the duckweed in my tank. Quick, action.
Well, I don't know, there's duckweed in that middle 40 breeder is just Chrysalis macosmus. So we're either going to do duckweed versus shop background too, or duckweed versus fire. I haven't decided yet.
Fire sounds like a really terrible idea. Could you see that going wrong so many different ways?
It's literally a room full of water, so it can't get too bad, can it?
Yes, it can. It always
be great.
Can. Like anytime you say, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It turns out exponentially worse than anything you're thinking.
Well, true. So I used to pull rainbow fish eggs, and I used to pull the mop. So just put the mop on a 2.5 little air stone or a sponge filter, and let them hatch out in there. And I got pretty good success rates. And then I just started leaving. I was like, well, what if I just start just like putting, because I feed them golden pearls. What if I just feed them in the big tank with all the adults? And I'm actually getting, it's easier, and I'm still getting a decent number of rainbow fish fry. So yeah, I'll just leave them with the adults. It's like if they're gonna let me community breed them, then I'll take the easy way out.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I started filling this 40 breeder. I've got this one on top, the rainbows we're talking about right now. I've got two 55-gallon drums, basically plumped together with a big pump. So I just fill it up with RO, and then I run my hose out to my tanks. And for one of the next makes for pretty easy water changes.
What kind of TDS do you have in your tap water?
Like 450 on a good day.
Oh,
I know.
shoot.
It's bad.
No wonder you're splitting it with RO water. I'm like,
Yeah.
because mine's like maybe 100 coming out of the tap. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, my water's gotten so hard.
Even guppies hate my tap water. Like the only thing that really enjoys it is kind of like the main lake Africans.
They like to chew their water.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily know if they like swim through it so much as they do just like walk around in it because.
Right.
Yeah. It's not bueno. Geek
So
Boy said fire, and Nano Aquarium guy said fire. Jenna also said fire, but I have to make a clickbait thumbnail about burning my house down to get rid of duckweed.
Yes. Yes.
Excuse me. Red Laser said fire, but I have to keep the CO2 canisters nearby. I would, but both my CO2 tanks have been empty for about 2 weeks now. So the 125 is still trucking along, despite the fact that I normally run, basically as much CO2 as I can possibly dissolve in there. It's trucking along, but I don't have many stem plants in there, so.
Oh, gotcha.
I found this out through Matt the other day because he just got his first CO2 set up, and he went to get his tank filled, and he's like, "Hey, where do you get your tank filled?" I was like, "Oh, go here." So he went there, and the office was closed.
What?
It's like, well, shoot. Apparently they moved, but supposedly, according to Matt, which we all know Matt, there's only one guy that works there that you have to call to like set up an appointment to have him fill it now. So there
Just
is a
go to look up welding supply near me.
Well, there's a Matheson nearby, which is like an air gas, and they'll fill it, but they want $10 more. So like,
I'd make the appointment to save $10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like trying to be petty or anything, but expenses add up, and they're literally right across the street from each other. So it's not like one's super convenient. I'm like, yeah, I'll make the appointment and I'll just drop it off, and you call me when you have it filled up, and I'll come back and get it.
Geek Boy says, yeah, that lazy bastard still hasn't delivered my Grubhub CO2 refills.
Yeah, what the hell, Matt? So yeah, I've got a 20-pound tank, which is just a big old steel tank that I traded some guppies for. I think I traded like three trios of guppies for a full CO2 setup. It's a little bit older regulator. No.
That's sweet.
It's a little bit older regulator and tank. The tank's definitely out of date, so it needs to be tested, but I'll just swap that one. But my 10-gallon tank has all kinds of stickers and stuff all over it, and it's aluminum, so it looks cool.
Nice.
So I usually get that one tested and just refilled. But the 10 pounds is usually like $20 to $25 to refill. The Matheson air gas type place across the street wanted like 35. Like $35 for a 10-pound tank. You guys are high.
You know what's messed up? Like, if those two stores are right across the street from each other, I'd go to the cheaper one. But if the more expensive one was right across the street from me, yep, that's
I'd
where
probably go to the more expensive one. Right? And I always tell people, like, don't be cheap. I'm like, here I am, like, it's different when it's like, it's just the cost of a service.
When it's the same, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, if you're buying, if you have a super expensive tank that you just filled with super dope lights or super dope plants, instead of buying like 2 cheap lights, just buy one good one.
Right. But if it's literally the same thing, like,
then get the better deal.
Whatever. Yeah.
Unless they deliver, then get it delivered.
Right? Come on, Matt. Get your delivery boy ass going. Start delivering some CO2. Yeah, the story on the bottom is my half black tuxedo guppies and my cherry shrimp. But there's so much, there's a little bit of hair algae in here. It's not bad, but there's so much guppy grass which is, I mean, it's good for the survival of the shrimp. Don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of shrimp in there.
Well, but you got
And
to be
obvious,
careful because at a certain point it can get too dense and start to rot, and then like
yeah.
bad.
I need
Hornswort will
to.
do that.
Hornwort is gross. I don't know why anybody keeps that stupid plant. And then once Hornwort
If
decides
you
to
need
drop its
lots
leaves,
of,
it's a disaster.
yeah, that's true.
Oh
I
shoot!
hate the
Oh
way
shoot!
that
Oh
looks.
no!
Uh-oh.
Remember when I said I was going to start overflowing tanks when I tried to start filling tanks while I was draining them?
Yeah.
Well, we came awfully close.
Well, the close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend.
Yeah. It's not dripping yet, but I don't know how it's not. So we'll just drain a
So you're
little bit
saying
out that
it's
guy.
perfectly full.
Right. It's perfectly full. I mean, like, you know, when like the water goes up against the glass lid and you start seeing like
Yeah.
bubbles up against the lid. Like, yeah, we were definitely that full. And then my full red guppies, instead of about an 80% water change, they're getting more like a 95 now because I'm easily distracted.
Well, they'll love that.
Yeah.
I
They'd
mean,
love it
guppies
more.
love just about anything. I swear you could
Oh yeah,
put guppies in the back of the toilet tank and they just chill out making more guppies.
right. They'd love it more if I didn't have to cut my water. It just, I don't know, it makes it a little more consistent when I don't have to. But I found they definitely spawn better at like the 200 to 300 range versus 450 straight out of the tap.
Oh my gosh, Matt's out here scalping prices on tanks. He says $100 per tank, Mike. Geek Boy is getting really wrung out. He's getting $1,500 for the first tank and $100 for each additional tank.
Holy smokes!
Matt, can I get in on the business? I'll be the West Coast.
Right? We're gonna make a countrywide chain here.
3G's talking about a PCP rifle, and I'm certain that doesn't mean what I think it means.
I'm not sure.
He says I have a nice CO2 cylinder for my PCP rifle. Maybe I need to try it.
I don't know what a PCP rifle is. I feel like I could go a couple different directions.
Right? Zenny is here. She says, holy, what the?
I know, Zen. I know. It's weird. Don't get used to it. It might be a one-off thing, but
Jen is busting your chops about people not being mods.
I don't.
Namely, Matt.
There's honestly, most of the time when I stream, there's only like 10 people in here, and I'm usually just sitting here doing nothing, so I can just do whatever I want in the chat. So
that's Mike's speak for he's a control freak, bitches. Back up.
I'm not a control freak, Shannon.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it's just not necessary. I'm like, sure. I mean, like people could do it. Like usually, I mean, like the most useful thing that a mod can do on my channel is while I'm rambling, which is pretty much all the time, is to post a link about something I talk about. But most of the time, the links that I talk about are not like, it's not like I'm like, oh, hey, go to Aquarium Co-op. I'm like, hey, there's this one article by this one guy that nobody's probably ever read. So it takes a little bit of digging to get to.
Well, and realistically speaking, Mike, most of the time when you reference those, that's when I really cue in because I'm not going to go read that article. I'm depending on you to accurately regurgitate that information and spoon feed it. I'm like, hello.
So when I put my own twist on it and completely skew any of the results in the article, you just take it like, oh yeah, Mike, that's right. Well, Mike said.
Bible. I'm like,
Mike told me this one time.
Hello,
I wish my kid listens to me like that.
I know, right? And my son's at that stage where he just thinks I'm an idiot. And like the other day, he was saying something about the scientific method, and I'm like, actually, the scientific method is blah blah blah. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot you knew that. I'm like,
I forgot you were smart, Mom. I'm sorry. Oh
And we were
God.
on the phone. I couldn't even see his face. I could just hear it. God damn it.
So my kid's 8. He's in 2nd grade. And he's a smart
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
But his friend is 9. So the little neighbor kid is 9, and he thinks that the neighbor kid knows more than dad knows. I'm like, I was like, dude,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I mean, I'm pretty smart
I remember in
when it
kindergarten,
comes to
Ben
some
came
things.
home.
I'm pretty dumb at other things, but he's like, well, Elliot's his friend. He's like, Elliot said that this is what happens. I was like, no, Elliot's wrong. He's like, well, Elliot said that. I was like, who do you think is smarter, me or him? Him. I was
Like,
like, all right.
Elliot.
I was like, yeah. I was like, thanks, bud. I appreciate it. It's like
I
apparently,
remember in kindergarten, Ben came home with some homework, and I'm like, "Hey, bud, let me help you with that. What you got going on?" And he's like, "Mama, I already worked with my teacher on this. She's a teacher. You're a mama. Like, basically, stay in my own lane." And I was like, "You know what? Listen here. Who do you think taught you how to crawl, how to walk, how to wipe your hiney? Like, hello, I'm the one who taught you how to read in your ABCs and how to write your darn name. Like,
right?
you're a mama, she's a teacher." And then he got to like 3rd grade, and I was like, you're gonna have to ask your teacher. I don't know this.
But mom, he said we're super smart.
Well, he did that Common Core math and then like
That's
calculus in grade school, and I was like, what? I don't know.
foreign language. Oh, I hear splashing. Oh no! I did it again.
Jenna wants to
Oh,
know if you told your son that you're at least 10 years old, so you must be smarter than Elliot. Maybe that's what you need to do. Tell your kid how old you are, and then maybe he'll
right?
be like, yeah.
I don't want. I'm starting to get to the age, though, Shannon, where I don't want to admit how old I really am.
Dude, you
So,
got to do it for the clout, kid clout. You got to keep them. You got to shock and awe sometimes. Maybe learn a little viral dance move. If you busted out flossing on him, I promise you he'd be like, okay, that's way old, but dang, where'd you get moves like
coolest,
that?
coolest ever, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to try it. Maybe I'll practice my cool dance moves on the live stream first.
Oh, please do.
Would that be acceptable?
Yes, that would be amazing. And I will have
No, you won't.
so much fun either way.
Uh, I will
My
have to make
favorite,
sure that it's definitely not pre-announced so that nobody can record it, and then that will quickly disappear very
dude,
fast.
Matt's on that. Good luck. I'm pretty sure he can DoorDash, Grubhub, watch a movie, live stream, and screen capture your dance moves all at the same time.
Yeah, can we not? So quick stop by. What's up? Bob Kaler's in the house. Good day, Mark. We're just kind of Shannon and I are bullshitting right now. I'm gonna be honest. We're sitting here bullshitting while I attempt to clean fish tanks. It's
Mostly,
not going
I'm
terribly.
distracting him from not overfilling and not over draining.
Well, it's already happened 3 times now. So I mean, I can't say that I entirely blame you, but whenever there's an opportunity to place the blame on somebody else, you should place the blame on somebody else.
Oh yeah,
So
because we like the worst thing ever is when it's all your own fault. It's like, man, I wish I could blame somebody else for my poor decision making right now, but nope,
right?
this is all me,
Yeah,
hundred
it's
percent.
unfortunately it's
Did you stop
not an
talking
option.
or did you cut out?
No.
I think you just cut out there for a second, bud.
Filling some tanks back up slowly. Slowly gonna make some magic happen. Let's see how many tanks I can. I just did a water change on the 125, so we got to see how many tanks we can change without running out of RO, because I only have about 150 gallons.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
And sometimes it goes, I don't know, sometimes it goes a little further when I don't cut the tap water as much. But I've been gone for a while, and the water's probably extra bad right now, so I should probably do a little bit extra.
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I mean,
it would probably
if I lived,
help too if you didn't overfill tanks and overdrain.
Well, I only put about 3 gallons of RO on the floor, okay? Which isn't that bad.
That doesn't even count. That's like such a small percentage.
It's negligible, right? It's a very small percent.
Yes.
But a long time ago, my 75 was in my basement. This was before I even had multiple. Well, I had multiple tanks, but they weren't around at the time. Anyway, my 75 was in the basement, and there was a bathroom near the 75, and I filled it with straight RO. Well, I didn't have enough stored, so I was like, oh, well, I said the RO output line will just reach straight right like all the way to the 75. So this seems like a great idea. So I proceeded to just put the RO output line right into the 75.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'll come back later, and it's 75 gallon per day unit. Like, whatever. So I did that, and then I proceeded to fall asleep.
Uh-oh.
And in the morning, I went downstairs,
mm-hmm.
and it had probably been at least 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire basement was really, really moist.
Well, and I feel like it's easy to underestimate just how much a whole gallon of water is.
Oh, yeah.
10 gallons. Like, that's a tremendous amount of water.
Right. So, luckily it was the basement. There was carpet involved, unfortunately.
Oh.
But it was a rental house, and we were moving out soon anyway, so.
Oh, there you go.
I dried it the best I could. I was like, we'll just pretend that didn't happen. And I think our landlord hated us anyway. But
yeah, that guy was dumb.
I was like, man, I can't wait to just own my own house. And now I'm in a position in life where I can own my own house. I'm like, man, I had so many less problems when I rented.
Yeah, now you own all of your own problems.
It's like, now they're just my problems.
Yes.
Before they were somebody else's problems. Life was easy.
I have to pay to fix this. Now when you complain about the cheapskate not fixing your stuff, that's you.
Yeah, I was like, this is a me thing now.
Mm-hmm.
So, no. Again, going back to that whole like somebody to blame thing.
Yeah. When the problem is somebody else's responsibility, yeah, that's preferable.
I like to have somebody else to blame, and I was like, oh, like owning a house would be great. It'll be like our own home and everything. It's like, it can be our own home and be somebody else's problem. That's okay. I've realized that's a perfectly acceptable solution.
Right.
Unfortunately, because the way the housing market is, sure, I could sell my house for more than I paid for it.
But can you buy?
But I can't buy or rent anything else. It's like we didn't pay a lot for our house. Like, our house is 3 bedrooms, like a bath and a half, basically. It's a decent little house. It's not bad, but it's older. It was built in the 1920s, so it's a little bit older house. We paid
It's got some character.
We paid $155 for it, and
nice.
So we bought it 3 years ago now. And last year, my realtor's like, "Hey, do you want to sell your house?" I was like, "Well, not really. Why?" I'm like, "Well, I can get you $210 for it, like in by morning," because this was the housing market was just like extra stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Oh, that sounds awesome." I was like, "But how am I going to buy a new house?" He's like, "Well, that's the thing." I was like, "Okay then."
How do you feel about renting?
Like, so this is a terrible idea then.
A small apartment.
Yeah, because the price of houses has gone up. So now, like, the price of renting a house has gone up.
Oh, it's cheaper to own a house than it is to rent, for sure.
So
at least out here. The
Yeah, I
mortgage
mean,
payment's less. Well, it
the,
depends though. No, still.
the payments themselves are better, but then you can have the problem of, well, it's actually my problem now. So
Yeah. But the idea of paying $2,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment, like morally, I choke on it.
yeah, that would be pretty bad. It's not that bad out here. I mean, rentals are
Oh,
definitely
nice.
like, you're like, holy smokes, I wouldn't pay that. That still seems pretty crazy, but they're not quite that bad.
Well, good. 'Cause out here it's brutal. I moved from Portland though, across the river up into Vancouver, and it knocks about $800 off of everything. So up here, a 2-bedroom
Oh,
you can
really?
get for like $1,200. But even still, $1,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, that's still a decent chunk of
Like,
change.
what?
I remember when
Because
I
I
was in
know
college.
people with mortgage payments that are like $1,400. I'm like,
Yeah, when I was in college, we rented a. This was like 2009, 2010 time frame. We rented a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. It was probably like 700 square feet. And it was like $425 a month, and that included Wi-Fi. Like we didn't have to pay for like internet. Streaming wasn't really a
nice.
thing. Streaming wasn't a thing, but we hooked up our TV to the cable, and it just worked without us paying for it. So we had TV.
Oh,
I have to say, my wife and I, we weren't married at the time, but we were both in college. We were broke as crap. So instead of paying to heat the house because we didn't want to pay the electric bill, we didn't pay for water. So we turned the shower on full hot and just let the whole place steam out and warm up. And now I look back on that, it's like, wow. It's like, I mean, we got by, but we got by on a lot of ramen dinners, and
yep.
it is what it is. Not one of my finer moments, but I'm here now, so whatever.
But did you die? Nope.
Nope. That's all that really matters. And I probably always wondered, like, I mean, it was a decent sized apartment building. It wasn't a complex, it's just one building. But you probably always wondered, like, why the water was always like so damn high. What? Probably because we heated the whole apartment with the shower. So, would not recommend, but in a pinch, it's an option. I'd say it's probably about like heating a fish tank when the power's out with like hot bottles of water. Will it get you by? Maybe. Would I recommend it? Probably not. Let's see how much
I
water
had
I
a
have left.
place where I didn't pay the gas bill, so I would just turn on the oven.
Yes, please. Now you're speaking my language.
Heat that sucker to 350, turn it off, and then open the door. Beautiful. It's like your own little. Oh, it was good. So nice.
There you go. Oh, shit. Well, I was filling up a tank, and the hose just fell off the top of the tank. So there's another couple gallons, but like I said, it's a very small percentage, so it doesn't count.
Nope.
Except for the fact that it's running all over the floor. Oh. It'll dry. It'll dry. This is fine. It's winter
Yeah,
in
that's why
Iowa.
you have that super sick floor coating.
The air is so dry here that it'll take like 2 seconds to just evaporate.
That's nice.
We run a dehumidifier in the summer and a humidifier in the winter because the air here sucks. And then you step outside and it's either a million degrees or it's negative 20. Like, why do I live where the air hurts my face?
Always.
Just can't win. Can't win,
Okay,
Shanna.
that does sound pretty lame.
Well, come out and visit and find out for yourself.
Like, it's so cold. It's so hot. Is there ever any days? Like, what about fall right now?
It's about 50 degrees outside right now,
Well, that's not so bad.
so it's not bad right now. No, I mean it's tolerable. I mean, I can't complain too much, and it doesn't rain here every day like the Pacific Northwest. So,
Well, it
uh,
used to rain here every day. Now it goes all summer long with no rain, and it's terrible.
Jenna asked what the benefit of living in Iowa is. I'll be honest, the only benefit right now is my employment, because if it wasn't for my job, we would not live here.
I thought you got like free corn or something if you lived in Iowa.
Free corn,
No?
if you grow it in your yard, sure.
Well, there you go. It's
You
good to
can't
have
just go to the
both.
store and like, oh, hey, here's free corn.
There's
Corn,
no
not porn.
state government corn subsidy.
Unless you're a
Like in
farmer.
Idaho, don't they get potatoes? I feel like they get potatoes in Idaho.
Is that a thing? Is it actually a thing?
No, no, it's not.
Can we make it a thing if it's not a thing?
I think we should. Like in Maine, you get lobsters. In Alaska, you get crab.
So I traveled to.
In Oregon, you get weed.
Do you?
I wish we should.
So I travel to the Northeast fairly often for work, and Maine is known for their lobster. So you think like, oh, like they've got the best lobster, but New Hampshire actually has one, better lobster, and two, more affordable lobster.
Ooh.
Lobster in Maine is stupid expensive. I think it's like a tourist trap.
Huh.
It's like, yeah, we've got awesome lobster, but Maine or New Hampshire lobster is better. It might be better just because it's like half the price, but I think it's better.
If it's lobster versus lobster and one's half the price, I'm probably gonna prefer the one that's half the price.
I mean, they're right next to each other, so.
Mike, right now I'm
Yes.
going through and organizing my dresser. And I'm so happy about it.
You're happy to organize your dresser?
Yep.
I mean, it's a necessary evil, I suppose.
Well, my dresser's been in storage, so I just got it back.
Oh, well, then that's definitely more exciting than I thought it was.
Yes. Very exciting.
I wish my kid would organize his dresser.
Dude, I wish right? And it just seems like such a losing battle. Like, I make him keep it clean enough, but like, it's not great. I just tell him it has to be safe in case of an emergency and nothing growing.
Like, I'll tell him, I'm like, all right, dude, if you find any clothes that like don't fit, because I said he's 8, so pretty much like half his clothes like quit fitting every week.
Right.
And like he'll like if you put clothes on and they don't fit, it's like just put them over, like set them to the side, and then like when you have a stack of them, we'll get rid of them. And then next thing I know, there's just like a pile of like clumped up clothes, like just keep going, like the same clothes go through the laundry and he never wears them. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what's going on? It's like, they're too small. I was like, okay, then what do we talk about, bud? Come on, man. Like, I'm doing all this laundry to wash your clothes over and over again right now.
My kid would always just come out with stuff that was clearly too small on. Like, he would wear jeans that were obviously too small and just look at me like, what? I'm like, buddy, literally your ankles are sticking out, and there's other information like being given away that nobody wants to know. Like, those are 4 sizes too small. I don't know how you zip them up. Did you lay down and use a hanger?
Right.
And he's just like, oh, I think these are okay. I'm like, nope, they're not. give him a pair of pants that fit. And he's like,
You
oh,
must
these
have
are good.
been watching the girls that I went to high school with. Girls that I went to high school
Right.
with, I think they had to like have like their mom like stand outside and like hold their jeans open while they jumped off the roof to try to fit into them. So I guess it's not. I don't understand how this is possible right now.
Oh yeah. I grew up in a
Bunny
little
Viper
hick.
asked. Bunny Viper asked how long she can keep some plants in a bucket. Generally, I mean, I don't know. A week is probably just fine. It kind of
If
depends on
you
the
add
plants.
an
Some of them
air
are more
stone
picky than
and
others.
fertilizer, some light, you can kind of do it indefinitely. But
Yeah. So I'd say it depends. I mean, I've kept them just floating in a dark tank doing nothing for a couple of weeks, and most of them have survived fine. As long as it's not like crazy, like super picky plants, then I mean, a week's not out of the question. If there's no light on it, I wouldn't worry about fertilizers at all. Because if there's such limited light, they're not going to be absorbing any nutrients anyway. But a few days and you should be just fine. Particularly like up to a week, I think you'd be safe. What's up, Ian?
Ian.
Ian's here. Kelly's here. Everybody must be. Oh, it's only 2 o'clock. I was going to say people must be getting off work, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe they're all skipping.
I posted a link in the chat. If you guys want to chat, you're welcome to. Playing hooky. I let my kid play hooky last Friday. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a good dad because of that or a bad dad, but we'll roll with it.
I call him mental.
This is fine. Well, the other day, he's on this big kick right now. He's like, Dad, I hate going to school. Why do I have to go? Whatever. I was like, dude, you need to go to school, blah, 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 whatever. And then, like, the next morning, he's like, Mom, my stomach hurts. I was like, you're going to school. It's like, but my stomach hurts. I was like, no, it doesn't. I'm not dumb. I was like, I know your stomach doesn't hurt because you just told me that you didn't want to go to school.
But I didn't tell Mom that. Mom doesn't know.
Right? He was trying to pull a quick one, but it wasn't working on Dad. Sharp as a tack, even at my old age. I tell myself that. Doesn't always work out very well. Noon. June, it's not noon. It's 2 o'clock. Some of us have been working hard. Just kidding. I went to work for a while this morning.
It's 11:57 at my house.
I've definitely accomplished more in the fish room than I did at work in 4 or 5 hours this morning. So that's how it goes sometimes, though. I almost might get half the tanks changed today. I'm about out of RO though, so might have to take a break. There's one. I've got 2 tanks left. I've got some multis that I can do a water change on without tap or without RO, and I've got the pseudochronolabris in the 75 that don't need it. But other than that, everything else needs a little bit of help. Oh. And then, I don't know. I probably won't do it on the stream. We'll do fire versus duckweed eventually this afternoon. Preferably before I pick my kid up from school because that's the last thing I need is him going on to my wife about how I tried to light the fish tanks on fire.
Yeah. I mean, you ratted him out, so you can't expect him to go keeping secrets for you.
Right. Oh, trust me. I am well aware of his inability to keep secrets. I can't even get him to keep secrets that benefit him. I was like, hey, dude. I was like, I'm going to pick you up from school today. Do you want to go get ice cream after school? Like, don't tell Mom. Like, yeah. He's like, Mom, we're going to go get ice cream. I was like, dude, stop it.
You're like, no.
I was like, this benefits you. He's like, what? I was like, Mom doesn't need to know that we went and got ice cream without her. So, I haven't even been paying attention to chat. People are probably
Let me see.
hollering at
I'm
me.
done with my closet now. I can jump back on the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Ian
I'm
says,
trying
hey,
to pay.
everybody. Yep, I know the right time. At his age, I was all party time. Now I'm party most of the time.
At
Mike,
my
how old
age,
are you? Yeah, the crowd wants to know.
33.
Mm.
I still party. I just don't party at home anymore. Like at home is when I give my liver a break. 'Cause I go on the road, and when I'm on the road for work, it's usually either work. It's one of those like work hard, play hard things where you usually turn up, more than you probably should. But did I die? Not yet.
I'm gonna go with nope.
Unfortunately for you guys, I have not died yet. I'm a baby.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I just realized once the dresser's full, that means I can start setting up tanks.
what? And then
And then once I get them all moved and set up, I have to figure out where to put more tanks.
but I mean, once the dresser's full, that means like it's full. You can't buy any new clothes, though, right?
I'm fine with that. I hate clothes
That's
shopping.
that's what I tell my wife, but there still seems to be more clothes that show up.
Oh, that's not her buying more stuff. Sometimes women clothes just make more clothes. It's crazy.
No, they don't just procreate. That's not how that works,
I mean, I think it could be. I'm pretty sure you aren't a woman, so you didn't go to that special class where they talk about getting your period in your clothes, making babies, and giving you more clothes.
Oh, so clothes just procreate now, huh? Is that how
Yep.
that works?
Yep. And don't look at the charge card.
Right? There's a random $400 charge. Huh? Weird. Imagine that.
Crazy, isn't it?
Not sure how that works. I've been
Well,
trying to
you
figure it
shouldn't
out for a while
question
and
these
haven't yet.
things. Yeah, you should just trust
Shanna,
the
I've learned
industry.
not to. I've definitely learned not to because it's just less of a fight that way. Not that it's necessarily a fight, but it's a discussion that when it can be avoided, let's avoid it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Huawei's here. Hello.
Oh, I didn't even see Huawei walk in.
Kelly says you're a baby. At first I thought
Kelly,
she said, Mike, you were a babe. And I was like,
a babe.
wow.
Wow.
Old.
I mean, I've been walking up and down this ladder a few times today, but I think that's a little bit forward. I mean, I won't judge you. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not that kind of party, Kelly. It's my fault. You know how I
hate
act.
to disappoint you.
I set a certain tone.
Hey, that tone's acceptable in here.
Oh, we got you. Hey, you got a porn bot.
Ooh, sweet.
Hot girls are waiting here.
That's what we're here for, right? We're here to party.
Triple
You guys said you want.
69.biz.
You guys said you wanted to party, and now that the party's here, you guys are going to complain about it? Gosh. Just no making people happy. Aren't you a
They
mod,
were
Shanna?
saying if only you had mods. I'm on my phone though. I can't mod.
Oh. I know somebody
I
who
can't
is a
run
mod.
StreamYard.
Uh-oh.
I don't even know if I am a mod. I don't think I
I
am.
broke StreamYard.
Ruh-roh.
I think Mandy is.
Zen got him, yes.
My video probably
Zen
disappeared.
says, excuse me. Yeah, your video. Are you from your phone too?
No. Well, I'm Bluetooth to my phone right now so that I can talk with my earbuds. But I was using my laptop so I could read it a little bit easier walking around. And now I'm trying to refresh the stream so I can video again. Because apparently Ian missed seeing my beautiful backside walking up and down the ladder.
Bob was in the shower.
While we
Just
were
said it.
streaming?
Yeah. Yeah, he was showering
God.
while we were streaming.
This is fine. This is fine. And we're back.
Oh, and
I think.
apparently I'm chopped liver because Bob's opining Miss Priscilla, which for the record, I love Priscilla, so you know. I would totally I like listening to her a lot. She's so smart.
Hot girls are waiting copy. I didn't even see Bob make a comment about Priscilla. Then again, I haven't really been watching the chat much either. Oh man, now I got to figure out how to get the right video up there.
Yeah, you guys used to do a weekly stream, he said. Oh, Silver Creek says my spooky tank is premiering on Father Fish's Natural Aquarium before I even get the edits done. It's showing now in rotation.
I have no idea what freaking YouTube premieres even are. That's how good or bad at YouTube I am.
It's kind of like, I think the idea of it's supposed to be like live streaming during a produced video.
Oh, really?
So you can interact with chat while everybody watches it.
Nope, it's not really what I want. I can't figure out how to make the other one small again. I'm YouTube carded. I don't know how you missed me, June. I've been watching all things fish videos. How did I miss you? Good question. Glad you're here, though. That's a plus.
Matt wants to know, your wife hasn't made you shave that yet, huh?
She tried, and clearly, clearly it didn't work very well.
I mean, you can't
She
stop
absolutely
all
hates
that.
it. It's a lot to handle. I get it. It is a lot to handle, but that doesn't mean it's just going to go away.
I normally like beards and facial hair, but one time I dated a guy, and every time he kissed me, his mustache whiskers stabbed up into my nostrils, and I couldn't take it. I was like, this doesn't.
I haven't made it to the notch yet, but she did. So my dad has like a mustache, a goatee, and a little bit more facial hair. And she's like, the other day, Brittany said, I feel like I'm kissing your dad. I was like, yeah, that's weird. She's like, well, then shave it. I was like, I don't want to shave it. She's like, well, then how do you think I feel every time I kiss you? I was like, yeah, this sounds like a you problem. What's up, Steven? You honestly haven't missed much. My fish tank aquatics. What's shaking? Thanks for stopping by, guys. See, I'm not big into the. Well, obviously, I would hope I'm not big into goatees, but I guess I've never had the opportunity to grow a goatee either. But because of work lets me grow a mustache. It's not supposed to be this mustache. I'm allowed to have a mustache, but not necessarily. Oh my god. Oh shoot. Now I'm breaking things.
Right.
Worse. Well, all I was trying to do was pin a comment, but people keep talking too fast. I need to slow down. No, I'm not supposed to have this mustache. I can have a mustache, but I've pushed the limits a little bit.
You're living on the edge.
What our mustaches might tangle up a little bit there, Huawei. It's okay. Stabby facial hair and acceptable facial hair. I don't think any on myself. I don't know if there's much facial hair that's considered acceptable facial hair.
Sam says, I can't imagine Mike kissing Mike because, oh my god, that's what you're talking about, tangled together.
Yeah. Look at this cute mess. This is super attractive down here. I have an extra light on this tank that I need to get rid of. So, plus it uses tap water because it has a pseudochronolabris in it. So it's really, really good at growing hair algae. And I've just kind of accepted that hair algae will always exist in it. So, whatever. I actually had, so these are pseudochronolabris, are, I think the entire group of fish are all mouth spreaders. I had a female holding, but I think I spooked her one day and never got fry from them, which is unfortunate. So now that I should be home for a while, oh my gosh, look at that. You guys see that? That is a disaster. That is terrible. Woof.
So Silver Creek says, you know, technically and statistically speaking, if you are in any kind of sales, a full beard is the most trustworthy face. Seriously, check it out. And then Steven is like bemoaning. He's like, damn, Jen is here and she just ignored my statement and refuses to reassure me.
I think my wife will like intentionally ignore a lot of that stuff just because she doesn't want me to think I'm getting the attention for said comments.
Yeah.
Kelly describes Jake's beard as pleasant.
Bob says he sneezes every time Huawei kisses him in chat.
Why is Huawei kissing Bob?
I don't know. Maybe they're kissing cousins.
Well, Bob is from Tennessee. I don't know where Huawei's from, but Bob is from Tennessee.
My time zone. I think he's in California.
Is he? Huawei, where are you from? Home slice. Pleasant is lovely. Pleasant and lovely don't necessarily go NorCal. He's your neighbor to the south. You guys have maybe even crossed paths before. You don't even know it. I guess I don't know how close you are to the border, but
no, I'm pretty good. Normally, when I'm peeking in his windows, by the time he comes out, I'm gone. Getaway stay. Definitely haven't met.
Mandy, don't worry about it. There are plants in here. There's some other stuff that's green, yes. So this, I'm pretty good about forgetting to turn the timer for this, the light that's on this tank, off. So it's really, really good at growing your algae. It's hard water. There's a little bit bigger fish in here, so a little bit more nutrients, and it's really good at growing your algae. See, so Huawei said that he's seen you, and you're claiming that you see him, but he hasn't seen you. So one of you is wrong. One of you is a liar, or you're both lying.
Maybe we pass each other when we're creeping to peek in each other's windows.
Both sound like voyeurs. Are you into little voyeurism, Santa? A little creepy.
Maybe.
I mean, I won't judge. I won't judge. Whatever you're into. Different strokes for different folks.
Maybe he's just a giver.
I guess.
Maybe we're just really weird and have odd senses of humor and don't really know how to make appropriate jokes too. That could be a thing.
Well, welcome to the Fish Fam, where you might know each other better than you think. Or you're going to get to know each other way better than anybody ever wanted to. Especially when certain people like to stream late at night and they like to spill certain things that you'd never expect from people to just openly share on YouTube. But that's how we all become friends.
I mean, you know,
this is fine.
Sometimes. Yeah.
And then you're like, then people show up at swap meets and I'm like, man, I feel like I've known you forever. I'm like, well, we know some pretty weird things about each other, so I get it.
Right.
I get it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I get it. And Mandy, if you want to judge me for hair algae, you're welcome to come and start pulling some out.
I was just talking with some of my fish fan buddies about this, but like I'm moving and doing stuff, and I'm so annoyed that so many of my like best friends live all over the country because I'm like, hey, I need you to come help me with the dresser. It's like, never mind.
Well, that's what you have Ian for, right?
That's right. Ian is so awesome.
He seems like a
He's
pretty
such a
decent dude.
yes. Him
Although
and Kat are both delights.
I keep trying to get Ian to do a saltwater stream with me, and he won't freaking do it.
What?
I don't know if he's scared or what.
Maybe
I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep bugging him.
do because we need more Atkins Nature's Aquarium streaming in general, and we need more saltwater streaming. So
We
it's
need
like,
more salt. What we need.
yeah.
There's definitely not enough saltwater stream in the fish family. I said, I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, huh? How it's so freshwater dominated.
I mean, I think generally speaking, like the majority of content creators on YouTube in general are mostly freshwater because there's a little bit more of an audience for it, I guess.
Well, that's funny because in my town, there's like saltwater stores are like 3 to 1.
Oh, really?
Freshwater. Yeah.
There's so much hair algae in this tank. I have different shades of hair algae. There's like a hair algae that's dark green, and right next to it, there's like a hair algae that's almost yellow.
That's impressive.
Let me see. Let's switch over to this other camera. Oops. I suppose that probably helps a little bit. This. Oops. Thanks. So like, there's hair algae right here that's dark, and hair algae right here.
Oh my gosh.
It's light. I don't know. I don't know if they're different strains or what. It's
Oh, that's impressive.
It's bad. It's real bad, guys. Here I am. Like, I can tell you how to get rid of algae in a planted tank, but since it's a fish-only tank, I really just don't care all that much. I'll pull it out as I can, and after that, whatever happens, happens. There are fish in here, believe it or not. They're hiding right now, but there are some pretty cool fish in this tank.
Well, they've got some options to choose from as far as hiding spots go, so.
Yeah, there's no shortage. I'll tell you that much. Oh, Mandy wants Ian to stream about seahorses.
Yes.
The hair algae is blocking the light that the hair algae needs to survive. It could be that. It's definitely an option. I'm not discounting that. Although, I don't think the aqua clears that are on the back of this are super happy with all the hair algae because kind of struggling a little bit. That is bad. Oh, the aqua clears do work. Gotta get rid of all the hair algae from them. Imagine that. I don't even know if I've seen, other than Ian and occasionally Shanna, I don't know if I've seen anybody stream anything salty. I know Anthony has a few saltwater tanks set up, but he hasn't really streamed in a while. Thank you guys with upstairs. I think the last time I saw Anthony even in a stream was when I streamed about saltwater stuff a while ago. Somehow I was able to convince Anthony and Priscilla both to come stream.
I saw that stream.
I think that's when you posted the shorts of your saltwater tank, if I'm not mistaken. We talked about them.
Yeah.
So, based on that, I think you know a hell of a lot more about saltwater than you play off, and that you should stream saltwater stuff one night.
Well, I don't even have any saltwater tanks.
You don't have saltwater. You need to have saltwater tanks to stream about saltwater stuff.
I mean, that's true. Mostly, I can tell you about what not to do with saltwater tanks because I did all
Hey,
of that.
that's just as useful as telling me what to do. Matt has saltwater, but he never talks about it, so I'm not convinced it exists.
Is it like some dirty secret?
I don't know. He's never shown anybody a saltwater tank.
What? This is so strange. This is so strange. What is the aversion to the public saltiness?
But Terry has a saltwater tank too that he talks about, but he never shows anybody. At least I haven't seen it.
Saltwater tanks can be a lot harder to keep pretty too, and they go through some ugly phases.
Have you seen this 75 that I'm trying to clean out right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I know,
then.
but not everybody will show their dirt on TV. YouTube.
Bring it on. Judge me. Go ahead.
Never.
Some of us work, Matt. Matt claims I just don't watch his stuff, which I didn't see. So Matt talked up this stream. Was it yesterday? He's like, "Oh, you guys got to be in the stream at 1 o'clock." I never went back to watch it, but apparently it was a big deal. So I don't know if I actually missed anything or not.
And I feel like if you keep brackish water, it definitely counts. Jenny is saying she has mud skippers.
She knows how to use a refractometer. That's more than most people. Oh, this aqua clear like intake tube is. Your house smells like pine sol?
Yep. That means I've won adulting for the day.
That means what? Sorry.
That I've won adulting for the day.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's super good. It's like the best. When you win adulting, it's like one day gathering, sorting, washing, drying, folding, and putting away all your laundry, including socks and towel. That's an adulting win.
I don't know how to act like an adult, let alone win as an adult, so I'm not sure I'll ever reach that phase of my life. Maybe one day when I'm ancient and dusty, I guess, but I'm not at that point in my life just yet.
At
least I hope not. Mandy's just excited that Ian says she actually counts because she knows how to use a refractometer.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you some credit for
it. Just came in. Hello.
Mountain Greenery. Good afternoon. Just here to ruin your Friday afternoon with my nonsense. And
Bunny wants to know what adulting is.
I'll let you know when I figure it out, Bunny, because I haven't got there yet. And I'll be honest, I have no interest in trying to get there. I just keep trying to push any adult type responsibilities off of my wife. Yeah, sounds like a you thing. Gonna need you to handle that one. Like you asked what my kid was gonna do for Halloween. Like, I don't know, whatever the wife figures out for him, I guess. Because that seems like an adult problem that I'm not qualified to properly handle. If it doesn't involve fish and airplanes, I'm probably not very good at it.
I don't even know that I'm good. after Ben was born, when it was time to come home from the hospital with him, he had to spend like 2 weeks in the NICU, and they're like, "Here you go, take him home." That was the like real first moment when I was like, "I am not ready for any of this." Wait, what?
Like, I'm responsible to keep this alien alive? What?
You don't understand. You guys have state of the art equipment and
Right?
fancy degrees, and now
Yeah.
it's just me. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you survived, so
Well,
yay.
you did something right along the way.
Yep.
I mean,
Did it
really,
right enough.
the ultimate definition of success is getting them to survive long enough to make it to 18, and then they're not your problem anymore.
Well, and them not eating people. That's the other thing.
Did you say don't eat people?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important one.
You know, if you're in Florida, I suppose, because that seems to happen a lot down there.
Right.
Eating people's faces and stuff.
I think maybe it's like its proximity to the Bermuda Triangle or something, but Florida seems to get more than its fair share of tomfoolery.
Right? Do we have any Florida folks in here? I don't think so. Not right now, anyway.
Geek Boy's commenting on the high bars that I set.
By keeping your kid alive?
Alive and not eating people.
That's a win. Although, if it wasn't for my wife's patience, my kid probably wouldn't be alive because I would murder him. That's a joke, people. Don't go call CPS. It's a joke.
No, but like the thing is, it's funny. Excuse me. I don't think anybody can piss me off more than my kid can. Not like
Oh my
long
gosh.
term. Like I don't hold grudges or anything against them, but sometimes they'll say or do something and my head just explodes.
Right?
It's like
Like,
I'll
how could you
literally
even
get
think
an
about
eye
that?
twitch, and I'm like, do I even know you? What is that? And then other times I will see myself come out of him and I'm like, I know where you learned that from and I still do not approve.
Oh, Nano's from Miami.
Oh,
I guess we can't talk too much crap about Florida, or maybe we can because Nano's here to defend himself. It's usually like I'm
well,
not
and
big on,
maybe he could explain because they have,
right?
well, there is one thing about Florida though, the sunshine laws. So all of the arrest records and stuff are transparent to the media to report on it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's
I don't think
secret.
there's a valid explanation for eating people's faces, though. That just doesn't fly.
That whole
I don't care.
bath salt thing seemed to hit Florida particularly hard.
Yeah, yeah, Nano. What is it with you guys and bath salts and weird stuff?
He says, I can't explain it. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not holding it against you, but I mean, I lived in Florida for a little while. Thankfully, I was young, so I wasn't exposed to, the craziness. But
I went to Florida one time and I saw things that made me go, I'm not coming back.
Florida just gonna Florida in. Sounds pretty accurate. Not gonna lie. Ugh. Gotta get up. The old knees are hurting. Should probably move the laptop off the heater for a little bit. As much of a good stand as it makes, it's probably not the best idea.
Oh man, just ask Matt about those sorts of things.
Old knees? Or what sorts of things?
Oh, I thought you were talking about using something for a stand. I thought you were saying that you had your phone propped on something.
Oh,
I was like,
I had my laptop was sitting on the heater in the room, which is also not recommended.
What?
Probably wouldn't do
that
that
does
for.
seem like equally bad as to getting it wet would be cooking it. Yeah.
mean, I haven't dumped my whole laptop into a pond yet, Matt.
Right, but if you burst it into the flames on a heater, do you really want to like
Yeah, probably
be
not.
like, Matt, hold my beer? You got yours
Right?
wet. I'm just gonna like burst it into. Hey, maybe that's how you can get rid of the duckweed.
Gotta
Fishing
one up
fire
him.
via laptop.
Yeah.
You're
Feel
gonna have to
like,
get your kid out of the house though, because he will blow the whole plan.
yeah, probably should.
I mean, for his
Oh,
safety. That's what I mean.
oh, for his safety.
Yeah.
I was more worried about my own when my wife finds out.
Right? No, same. But I think that the more plausible, like, good outside answer is for safety, because that's just the kind of dad you are.
Right? Oh, sure, yeah. Safety first,
Yep.
100%.
Oh my gosh. One time, my kid
That
like
band
ran
camp.
off to the neighbor's house, but I didn't know where he went. He was like 3. And the neighbor, like, we had this rule because we had this little cul-de-sac. It was me and a neighbor, and he couldn't go out of the little cul-de-sac area. Well, I never
Okay.
explained that he had to, like, the neighbor's house, because she was this sweet little old lady, was somewhere that's like, you have to talk to me before you go there. That's not like just part of the cul-de-sac, but technically he was within the physical boundaries I had outlined. So I'm like, dang it. I called the cops, and the whole time we're running, looking frantic. And I'm like, I'm going to have to call his dad and be like, yo, I
I
lost
just
our
lost your
kid.
kid.
And I was like, I was absolutely apoplectic about not being able to find my kid. But the only other thought in my mind was that I needed to be able to somehow stay alive to keep looking for him. I'm like, he's going to kill me for sure.
But you didn't lose the kid after all. So
Yep, but I didn't die.
it's good. It's kind of like a did you die situation. You didn't die, so it's all good. It's all good. You're fine. This is fine.
Yeah, he came out with 2 cookies and he's like, I got one for you, mama. And I was like on the ground,
Well,
like on my
now
knees
you can't be
sobbing.
mad.
Yeah, and he's like, I got you a cookie. I'm like, oh my God. So then I didn't say anything to his dad after I found him, right? I was like, okay, no harm, no foul. And then I accidentally slipped and said something about it, and his head snapped and looked at me, and I felt like a little kid that just ratted themselves out by accident. I was like, oh. So yeah, I lost faith for a little
Whoops.
bit today, had to call 911. He's
I
like, what?
I mean, you called them, but did they show up before you found him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's a little bit more difficult. You can just like,
They even sent a fire
never
truck.
mind. Ooh, well then he got a fire. You called him. You called 911 so that he could get inside a fire truck. It was for his own good.
He did actually get to get inside the fire truck and everything. And the
See?
police were
So
super cool to me about it because I was like, I didn't like, and they're like, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, I do.
Zen
I
was
do.
helping our grandpa drink wine. Apparently, not sure that's recommended. But do your thing, Mandy. You do you. I won't judge you. So I've got this habit, particularly bad one right now. Of I started collecting all this art and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'll collect just some cool art and then I'll hang it up in the fish room. So I've got some cool stuff.
Oh, nice.
But now I have no room in the fish room because there's literally no wall space. I'm like, well, I guess it's going to go upstairs.
How much water were you taking out of that tank behind you?
Um,
that's dope.
So that's from Priscilla.
She's so
It's pretty sweet. The one on the bottom, I drained about 75%. This one I'll drain about 75%. And I can do tap on those. I'm out of RO, so
Oh,
Unlimited is
okay,
the tanks
gotcha.
I can water change now.
Jen called you an asshat.
Well, she'll get over it. Or
This is
or
where my
or
husband
she
is,
won't.
because that sounds like
Either
your
way.
problem.
I'm not, teaching my granddaughter how to make wine or anything. But I do have a winter brew, a brewing, not wine, beer. But my neighbor's big into mead, and mead sneaks up on you really fast. I don't know if you've had mead before or not. Um,
Isn't mead like kind of a wine, but more like a flat beer?
yeah, so it's made with honey, and then it's not. I mean, you can carbonate it. Most of it's not. But a guy I worked with that happens to live right behind me, he makes mead. So he's always like, "Hey, we're gonna have a fire in the backyard. Why don't you come over?" And he's like, "Oh, I made this mead." And he's like, "This one's 14%." And we're all just over there. We each have a bottle in our hand. Like, holy smokes! I'm not gonna be able to walk home. I'll have to just walk across the yard. Mead is good. Kenny makes mead, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't Kenny take some meads to the Clash? A few Clashers. I thought he did. Uh-oh. I lost Shanna. Shanna, come back. Baby, come back. Kidding. Shanna's back.
Yeah, I pushed a button.
Didn't Kenny take mead to the Clash?
Yes, he did.
Thought he did.
Which seems
I asked
super
him.
appropriate because I think of Vikings and mead, and when I see Kenny, I think of Vikings. So, you know.
It's pretty fitting. Very believable.
Yep.
There's a meadery in Reno, Nevada. It's the only one in Nevada. That instead of like a mug that you get on the wall to keep there, like a mug club, they have it's like a Viking horn that they keep on the wall, and you can get your mead and served in a Viking horn. So they have a membership for that.
I don't feel like drinking out of a horn is like the old school version of duct taping a 40 to your hands, right? Because you can't set it down. And I feel like that's like dangerous territory.
It definitely could be. I could see that.
Geek Boy says he's had trouble getting home from partying 3 houses down before. He definitely was duct taping some 40s.
I'm not saying you were duct taping 40s to your hands, but it seems like you were probably duct taping 40s to your hands.
Oh, and there's actual fish stuff going on in chat. Hold on.
Oh boy.
Orange Cones says, hoping I get eggs laid tonight. Zenny wants to know what kind of eggs. And he said, Farlowella vittata, which I'm probably saying wrong. He says, have 98 from prior to nests.
Nice. That's awesome. Let me know what you want for some orange cones, and maybe I'll send you money and have you just ship some to me because those are pretty sweet. I've never even looked into this. They're the twig catfish.
Ooh, those are dope.
Yeah, they are.
Super cool.
They're super sweet. I'd be interested in some before it gets too cold. Not that I don't trust you to ship in the winter. So there's a few different types. Super cool fish. I don't know. Do those like cave spawn orange cones, or how do they even, like you said, nests? Like what do they make a nest in? It's about time we talk about some fish in this stupid chat room. And talk about other random crap.
Oh, Geek Boy told us mead drinkers to hold his beer. He said he was the instrument of his own destruction. When the neighborhood crawl got to our house, I broke out the absinthe.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
Well, that's a thing. Sounds
Whoopsies.
like I need to take a trip to Geek Boy's house to enjoy a weekend.
Just plan on Monday for recovery.
Yeah.
Oh, he says they on vertical surfaces.
Huh. So it's not really a nest then, is it? So do you use like a slate like angelfish or a cone like discus? Like what I mean, what do you use to
Well,
how do you
he's
set that up?
orange cones, so I'm gonna throw out a guess and say terracotta breeding cones.
Well, I'm just
But I
asking
could be wrong.
questions.
I know, I'm probably wrong. I'm just going with the, you know,
No, I can
his
see your
name's
train of
Orange
thought there.
Cones.
It makes sense. So I think that the Apathanos, like the chameleon whiptails and the other whiptails, have some of the well, like one of the coolest breeding strategies because they're lip murders. They like carry them around in their lips. Have you ever seen a picture of a spawn? They just have like a big spawn with a bunch of eggs like around their mouth, and they just scoot around the substrate.
Well, that's
Pretty
cool.
cool.
And Orange Cones does not use orange cones for spawning them. He says, with the power head blowing against the tank wall, they lay in the stream.
Interesting.
Oh, and orange cones is like traffic cones, not fish hobby. See, I was totally wrong.
See, you're just leading me astray, Shanna.
It's like you haven't met me.
Remember what I said about having someone to blame?
Yes, I am perfect for that.
Guess what your job is right now?
Yep, I'm here, broad shoulders.
Just take the
Carry
blame.
on.
I've been told I take blame well. So generally speaking, even if I'm not involved in anything, I get told that it's my fault. So I'm kind of used to it.
I'm fine with taking the blame for other people's stuff because I don't really care. I'm like, yeah,
Right? Well,
whatever,
I
sure,
know I
blame
didn't do
me.
it. Blame me for it. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, that's what helps you sleep at night. It's just when
So
it's my own stuff and I'm the one who could have prevented it all and I'm now the one dealing with and paying for like consequences. That's when I get a little bit irksome
right.
about it.
So I was in Grant and Shelby's stream last Monday, and I asked them about all these 3 tanks up here that I'm working on. You guys can't see them, of course, but they're up there, I promise. They
Yeah, we
have
can.
orange neos, blue neos, and yellow neos. And for whatever reason, this is the 3rd time I've tried yellow neos from my buddy. And for whatever reason, the first 2 times I hadn't had any luck. But I have probably, I started with maybe a dozen, and I can see at least 1 spawn in there right now, maybe 2. So I think I'm finally having better luck with them. Obviously, that tank's a disaster, but good news. And then I'm trying to still replenish my blue dreams. Or dreams, velvets, I don't know. They're dark blue in this tank. I probably had a few hundred in here. And then when I deployed last fall, I came home to like 6. Don't know what happened. I blame the wife because she's a good person to blame sometimes, not very often. I don't usually blame her for much because you ladies know how that goes.
Yeah, you want to back pocket that. Save it
Yeah,
for when you really need it.
it's like don't pull out that one very often.
Like if your kid starts eating people, blame the mom.
Blame the mom because
Mm-hmm.
he lacked a motherly figure in his life. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, get off the ladder for a minute. See what people are saying.
Orange Cone says, I have learned the best parking spaces are reserved for others with orange cones. I have also learned that my car can easily crush orange cones. I agree with that sentiment.
Bunny Viper said she's fairly new to wave makers, and I really like them. I don't know. I think flow in freshwater tanks is really undervalued. Saltwater
Yeah.
tanks, like saltwater people, put a big emphasis on
Flow
it.
is everything. Obsess
Yeah,
over it.
saltwater tanks, I don't know. Like freshwater people are just like, if there's flow, there's flow. But saltwater, like flow in a saltwater tank will make or break a tank. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Especially if you start getting like ugly algae blah.
Right. So I saw about a month ago, Ian posted an update about his saltwater tank, and he's got a Nero 3 in there, and it really caught my eye. And then I saw the price tag of the Nero 3. I'm like, maybe it didn't catch my eye that much. It's a super sweet little power head. And then a local shop just advertised some of them on sale the other day. I'm like, you're killing me here. I feel like it's a sign. But I don't really feel like spending $200 on a power head that size right now. So maybe
I don't
someday.
feel like spending $200 on any one thing for a fish tank right now at all.
Like I don't know, like the prisms that I run on the 125, I bought all those at one time, and I was like, that's like the biggest fish purchase I may have ever made in my life. Because I paid $140 a piece for them with free shipping. I'm like, holy crap! I just spent $420 all at one time. Which, if you think about it, really isn't all that much, but it seems like a lot at the time. We'll prime in. Ian said, Shanna, the wave maker isn't working. It's shaking hella and being sketchy. Might want to use one of the other ones. What kind of pump is it, Ian? I've had this bottle of Prime so long that it's literally discolored on top. I feel like that's not good. Surely there's a date on it. Like, look at you can see, like, the label is white. The bottle is definitely not anymore. I mean, I feel like that's not good. There's no batch date on it or anything, though. And it still smells terrible, just like Prime, so I'll trust it for now. An MP10. Geek boy. Yeah, the True Heroes is nice. Like I said, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
Yeah, I've got my ex is getting out of, he's over having fish tanks, and he is a journeyman plumber, so he makes really good money, and he likes to spend money on his hobbies. I think that he actually likes to spend money on hobbies more than do the hobby, but whatever. He's over it and was like, hey, do you want this stuff? Get it out of my house. And I was like, okay. And so I don't have room for all the tanks, and I needed somebody to help me with everything and to take the saltwater livestock, because there's coral and fish and shrimp, and so Ian's taking all of that, and what is it, water box, rimless 20-gallon with the sump and the display tank, and we couldn't get the O-rings for it first. Like, he ordered the replacements from DRS, but they're the wrong ones.
Oh, really?
Yep. But there's like 2 other tanks that are saltwaters that have wave makers on, so I think one of those like should work.
Yeah, he said it's the wet side.
I don't know.
Says the wet side of an MP10, which I don't know. I feel like I've heard over the years a lot of problems with the wet sides. I don't know why. That seems to be the way it goes. I don't even know what goes wrong with them specifically.
Oh, Ian said it's a 30-gallon. That's cool.
The water box?
I thought it looked bigger than a 20 tall. But it's super sick. And the sump has everything, like all of the compartments built into it.
Nice. Now, let's see if Ian's good enough to do anything cool with it.
Snap.
I'm kidding.
And then when we go and pick up the livestock, I'm getting a 20-gallon cube water box and a Blue Ball 13 gallon tank, like an
Yeah.
all-in-one.
Okay.
It's got that
We'll
little
see it Huawei.
stand that like lifts it up.
Nice. Huawei's leaving. He said he's had enough of our shenanigans. He said he's out.
Oh, see you later, buddy.
Casual Aquatic stopped in though. What's up, man? So my saltwater tank is going to be a excuse me, 28-gallon BioCube that I built some LEDs for it. I originally had it set up as saltwater, and then I moved, so I turned it into freshwater. And now it's been empty for a while since the 125 went up, so it's going to be saltwater again. I've decided. I don't know what I'm going to put in it yet. It'll probably be like a mixed reef type thing. I think it'd be super cool to do like a pygmy lionfish, like a little dwarf lionfish. But
Yes.
I want some inverts in there too. So I'm not dead set on the lionfish right now. I think it'd just be cool. Frogfish are super cool, but the idea of a frogfish is super cool. I feel like the reality is that they're really boring unless you're feeding them. So probably won't go that direction.
I'm so basic. I freaking loved clownfish.
I mean, you can't go wrong with clownfish, right?
The only problem is if you want to breed clownfish, it's like
Oh, it's a headache.
you got to take like 3 weeks leave.
Right? It's a
You
headache.
feed them like every 45 minutes, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I raised up one batch, and I didn't even raise up a lot of them. I raised like a few to say like, oh, hey, yeah, I did it. And holy smokes, you've got to run a ton of food cultures and constantly feed them and do water changes and stuff. And I don't know if I can do it again.
Like, no thanks. Turns out.
And mine were just like plain old aquilera, so they weren't really worth anything. So I'm like, I don't want to end up because, I mean, a batch of clownfish could be like 300 or 400 fry. Like, I don't want 300 or 400 fry that are only worth like $2 a piece.
Oh my gosh! And you have to get rid of all 300 or 400 fry.
Yeah. Geek boy, I had a snowflake eel in my 28-gallon BioCube when I thought I was going to set up a bigger saltwater tank. Super cool little fish. Nice personality. But then I found out I was moving, so that never actually came to fruition, unfortunately. But I would do it again if I had a bigger tank. Said a BioCube's definitely not ideal. But I mean, it was only like 6 inches when I had it, so not a big deal. Orange cones used to travel around Florida trimming saltwater pufferfish.
Wow.
Johnny was talking the other day about trimming their pufferfish beaks, and that sounds like I don't know. It sounds like something that I would like to make friends with somebody that does that, because I would not want to do it myself. Sounds like a little bit of a headache.
A little bit, no. A lot of it.
Uh-oh. Yep, that's splashing water. Mm-hmm. Whoops. Overflowed another one. That's only 4 today. That's not that bad, right?
Nope. Definitely not.
I mean, 4 out of how many tanks did we change today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 4 out of 15? I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's like 30%, right?
Yeah. Something. I don't know. I'm bad at math.
I mean, the total volume spilled was probably only like 5 gallons by the time you add it all up.
That sounds right to me.
Not terrible, I suppose. Can always do better. Oh, man. Ian's going to keep it all nanofish. Wants a pygmy cherub angel and a mandarin eventually. I feel like a mandarin would be tough in a tank that small unless you had a big sump with a refugium. Or you just constantly fed it pods all the time. mean, I'm sure it's doable, but Mandy asked when I'm going to send her plants. I didn't get them out this week. I'm sorry. I owe Mandy some plants. I owe Geek Boy some plants, and I might owe one other person. It's just this was my first full week back at real work, so I'm busy catching up on other stuff. But they will be hair algae free. I'm not going to tell you that they'll be Blackbeard algae free, but they'll be hair algae free. I will say that much. Just kidding. If there's any hair algae on it, I'll just trim the leaf before I ship it. So I don't want to deal with that pain in the butt, let alone somebody else.
Geek Boy says the next time I spill water in the living room, I'll tell my wife. Only like 5 gallons.
That's it. I mean, 5 gallons, if you consider the amount of water that I moved today, I mean, 5 gallons is a very small amount.
It is.
Definitely acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the fact that I let my RO unit run overnight and then some onto the floor, I mean, 5 gallons is a very small amount.
I agree.
If I changed 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 70, 80, 90, 100. We probably changed like 160 gallons of water this afternoon, and we only spilled 5. It's like, that's negligible.
Basically, killing it.
Nobody cares about 5 gallons out of 160.
Nope.
Unless that 5 gallons lands on like a light or a laptop or something, then it becomes a problem. But
yeah.
But it didn't happen, okay? So we don't have to worry about it.
Doesn't count if it didn't happen.
Orange Cones wants a specific plant that they learned can't be traded. What plant is it? Because I might have it, and I might accidentally put it in a bag and then claim ignorance. I'm not saying I have done that before or haven't. I'm just saying there are ways to make things happen. Some part of Fuge. There you go. Fuges are pretty cool. Pretty freaking cool. Oh, man. I don't know if there's any plants that are completely illegal. I know there's some that are like on the noxious weeds list that you aren't supposed to take across state lines, but
duckweed.
That doesn't happen. Ooh, that'd be cool, Ian. Captive bred mandarin that eats pellets and frozen. That would be impressive.
Oh yeah.
A plant that looks like water lettuce.
Like breadroot floater?
See, that's why you don't use common names. I don't like water lettuce. I've seen people call like 3 or 4 different plants water lettuce. We'll see if Orange Cone speaks up. I might have it, and I might be willing to send it. My name may or may not be on the package, but I might be willing to send it. We'll see. Oh my God, I need more. I thought about getting an addition to my RO unit so that I can make more water, because I really need to do changes on about 6 more tanks right now. But I'm out. I'm empty. No mas.
Well, I'm doing water changes on my little 5 gallon, and I love doing water changes on it because I just use a pitcher.
Right.
No hose, no siphon, and I just look in there and make sure there's no fish in it before I dump it in the bucket.
Some of the saltwater tanks, like some of the saltwater tanks now, I guess at MACNA they came out with like a 40-ounce saltwater tank. I'd have to look and see like what the name was.
That is a terrible idea.
And you literally keep like some zoas in it, and that's it. And maybe like a hermit and some snails. But I mean, a water change on like even like a 5-gallon saltwater tank, you'd do like a water change. You literally take like a cup of water out and dump it in every day. You're like, oh, I did my water change for today.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool saltwater fish being bred now, Ian. It's nice to see because it wasn't always that way. I actually heard the other day. I'll have to see if I can find the article that I saw it on. It sounds like they may be letting more yellow tangs leave Hawaii now. So hopefully the price comes down from $400 freaking dollars. I remember the 2 yellow tangs I had in my 75. I think I paid like 30 or 40 bucks for the pair, which sucks when you consider the price now. Hopefully they continue in. I mean, there's some cool stuff that they're producing now. Orange cones. I thought I sent that to you before, or did we just talk about it? We can make that happen. Easy. Give me about a week to grow some out. I keep one stem on hand at all times, just in case I want it again. So this tank down here may or may not have some. I'm pretty sure we emailed forever ago, and maybe I just forgot to send it. But we can make this. We can make this happen. It's possible legally, of course. I'll legally send you some plants that are not completely not illegal to transfer across state lines. Oh, captive. Yeah, for sure, Ian. Captive bred fish all day. Much better option. 125 seems really big for seahorses. But considering the fact that seahorses are stupidly prolific, it would probably fill up pretty quick. No shit, Ian. What crappy news, man. I heard that the other day. Orange cones will fix it. I'll find your email. I'm pretty sure I probably have. If we talked about it, I know we talked about it. I might have your address. If not, I'll email you and we'll make it happen. Give me like 2 weeks to grow some out. I'll move it to the tank upstairs and we'll blast away, get it moving. Right, Greg? You just keep it on hand because, I mean, it grows so fast that it's just too much, but you keep it around just in case. It's always good to have just in case. You can literally start with a 2 or 3 inch stem, and in 2 weeks you'll have, 3 or 4 stems are probably a foot long. Oh, well then I'll email you again. I have your email address, Orange Cones. I'll email you when we get it figured out. I said 2 weeks we should be good to go. Ooh, Bunny Viper's doing seahorses too. Zen and Bunny Viper can both do seahorse builds and both make videos about it, and then everybody will know how to set up a tank for seahorses. So, but alas, it's 3 o'clock. I gotta go get the kids soon, but I appreciate you guys hanging out and Shanna for keeping me company.
Yeah.
I know it's I know Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock for some of you is a really weird time for me to stream. But depending on how work goes, maybe I'll make it happen more often. Yes. And if not, we'll figure something out. But for all you guys that hung out and asked questions and chatted with us, appreciate you stopping by and hanging out. Definitely a big thanks to Shanna. Thanks to Mandy for stomping the one bot out that happened to pop up on my stream. You're the real hero here. And I don't know. I'll probably stop in some streams later today. I probably won't stream again later this afternoon, but I'm sure it's Friday, so there's no shortage of fish fam related entertainment. So we'll catch y'all later. Orange Cones, I'll send you an email. We'll make it happen. Everybody else, again, appreciate it. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you.
Later.
Bye, Shannon. See ya.